Hey golfers, I'm Drew Mahowald, Second Swing Golf here at Office Golf with Tyler Fitzel, Master Club Fitter. We've got a new club in the mini driver category, Tyler. This category is blowing up. So we've got TaylorMade R7 Quad. TaylorMade likes to kind of be nostalgic about their mini drivers lately.
Yeah.
They had the burner copper last year.
Yeah.
Now they've got this R7 Quad. I guess first of all, when you see the R7 logo and that name, what thoughts go back into your mind thinking back to the original model?
The first thing is the adjustability of center of gravity. So
Yeah.
when we go back, the R7 in its original form was probably one of the major advancements, especially in terms of driver technology. Being able to have 4 different weights, and this does have 4 different weights. So there's 2 that are low front center, and then there's a couple in the back here. Being able to change that was one of the monumental type advancements, and that still happens here. Looking at this, it's almost looking at an original R7. The color scheme, they put it right back into place, but they've modernized it with other features of technology.
Yeah, so those weights you mentioned, there's 4 of them, they're movable, 13 grams. The standard kit, I guess, is there's 2 of them that are 13 grams, 2 of them that are 4 grams. So, you can move, say, both of them forward in those no forward spots, you get the lower center of gravity. Move them both back, you can have a more kind of higher MOI design with that. They have also the modern tech that you referred to, so the Infinity Carbide Crown they've had the last couple of years. They've got speed pocket and twist face also in there. So they've modernized this old design, but really it's just the latest edition of a TaylorMade mini driver. And in a future video, we'll compare them to some of the other models out there. But also shaft-wise, I have to mention this is the Fujikura Speeder MD that they've really basically engineered for this club.
Yes.
So something you really won't see elsewhere. So I'm curious, and also again, they have the same nostalgic look there as well with that kind of yellow at top there.
Right, and
it looks
even
really good.
Even kind of like the scripting and the font that they used on the other side here too. It looks just like an original, and so for me, this is kind of at the peak of equipment change, and this really gave me a nostalgic kickback, a lot like the mini burner, because that was the previous generation to this was also one that I had in the bag and played, and so looking at it, it's pretty cool.
It's for gear junkies out there, R7 Quad, that whole R7 family turned out to be very, very innovative for the entire golf equipment landscape. So we'll do some testing here today now with this. We'll hit a couple off the tee, a couple off the deck. We'll see what kind of numbers we get here. I'm very curious about this one for sure.
Yeah, me too.
All right, well, looking down at this thing, there's a lot I like about it. So I'm a person that does not like the glossy crown. I like it matte. I don't like that distraction of the shiny stuff, and this is that clean matte crown. You can see a little bit of the face graphics, but nothing big. And then you pointed this out too, kind of off camera, but it sits a tiny bit flat, it seems like. And we've got it in the standard setting, 13.5 degree club here. They also have an 11.5 degree option, but 13.5 degrees, to me, it sits slightly flat as well, which is fine for me because I tend to need that a little bit. So aesthetically, they've done a really good job here. Well, that ball rolled all the way over there. So I guess, Tyler, from your perspective, as I'm hitting a couple off the deck here, is there what you see for my swing, is there a spin number, or any of these numbers that you're looking at in particular?
Yeah, I think when we talk about the ball, right, ball speed, launch, and spin are a huge factor to this. I like to say that that's at impact, right? Those 3 things happen at impact. The peak height and the carry distance, those are things that I'm also looking at. In terms of whether or not we're even going to get this thing to stop, and you look at a shot like that, if it's going to carry 260 and basically stop within about a 13-yard window, this becomes a tool that's a lot more multifunctional than just, say, a straight-up 3 wood that might be around 13.5. It's like off the ground right there, you can get that to carry and get that to stop.
Right.
That's one of the things that I would look for is what kind of launch and spin are you getting with it compared to what you might have in your 3 wood,
right?
And or your driver. So, I think you probably carry this thing upwards of 280. I know you're just getting some swings and just kind of getting comfortable with it. But I think even if we dial this in with the type of club speed and ball speed you have, is could probably get this thing to carry 280 in the air.
That would be cool.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden it becomes a complete weapon in terms of, hey, I've got this par 4 that I can't go much more than maybe 280, 290.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Plus the other thing too is like this is a kind of the 60 gram class stiff flex were probably not a fit for me with this club. I would probably need something maybe a little heavier, but also definitely stiffer. That would actually for me. But this is what we've got to work with right now. So if I can get that face angle a little more squared up, we might see something special. Yeah. I haven't been as consistent as I've been. Well, again, this is only 2 swings, but I feel the contact feels a lot better, a lot cleaner.
Well, one thing we notice right there is even as you kick up a little bit more ball speed, is you're still getting this to kind of stop. You're still getting this to kind of sit down a little too, which is really important. And you have to look at it fits in the bag. Well, it obviously fits either behind a driver, and in some cases, this might be a club that is a driver for some people. We talk about like the type of golfer that would need this club. The golfer that's going to need this is going to need launch, is going to need spin, is going to need to try to get something in the air. So we'll see in a second when you put this on a tee as well.
Yeah.
You're going to have a better chance at getting the ball in the air, to stay in the air, to carry farther. So this is going to be a multifunctional tool for a lot of players. There's also the player that may need this as a substitute club in terms of yardages. So most of the time we talk about the golfers that can hit the ball, 300 plus yards in carry distance. They're going to use something like this off the tee. That's going to give them a chance to do something less than 300 yards.
Yeah.
Because there are going to be situations, you've got maybe a hazard or penalty area somewhere. Or you've got, it gets narrow. You've got a steep bunker.
Yeah.
So.
And I should note too, since we didn't technically note this at the beginning, but we have the heavier weights back as of right now. And this is another fitting thing. And a true fitting, maybe we would test out those potentially being forward. But I'll hit one more off the deck here because I'm kind of feeling good about this thing right now. That was a slight heel contact, but it works out. It just went a little lower. You could tell by the launch and the height, it was a little different than the others, but yeah, that is awesome. Okay, look at the carry distances and all of them are within 2 yards on average.
Right, and so we're looking at it from a couple of different perspectives. Again, remember, smash factor is something that is regulated with a club like this. So seeing 1.45 and 1.46 off the ground means you're getting a lot of really good ball speed to that. We're also looking at it, we also like to talk about this in terms of carry, I do, because total is going to be dependent on the environment. Yeah, the total is always dependent on the environment of the day. But you're getting over 100 feet peak height. We're getting this to land and has some stopping power to it within about a 15-yard window. That's some pretty amazing stuff right there.
And that spin consistency is crazy.
It is.
To get that under 100 like that to 67.
Yeah, I just think about it. It's like how many times have you needed something that really just goes out around 280, 290?
Yeah, I can genuinely see a realistic scenario where I put this in the bag.
Yeah.
And I didn't think I'd be a mini driver guy because now we can see how it goes off the tee, but to see 4 swings like that, where especially that heel shot, this last one, where it was definitely not perfect contact, and the spin barely changed.
Yep.
It was definitely lower launch and lower height, which again is because of kind of where I hit on the face. But to see the distance, barely fluctuate.
Right, and it's
good to me.
Literally right there within a few yards of the same other shots that you did hit really solid and a little bit higher there. I look at this also as this is not just a club for someone where we say, hey, that might be their driver. Like, this is a type of club that can be all the way across the board for everyone. I think about myself in terms of, hey, if there's 3 or 4 holes at my club where I need that mini driver as an example, rather than a 3-wood, because
Yeah.
it's going to get me the distance I need. There's going to be a little bit more forgiveness because there's a little bit larger sweet spot to it. Plus, this is probably even more adjustable than some of the 3-woods. Having
Oh yeah.
4 weight
The weights back
positions,
here?
having a hosel that you can move lie angle and loft with. And then even the length of this, it's at 43 3/4. So like from a driver's perspective, which is around 45 inches, it's like you can make this a little bit longer if you wanted.
Oh yeah.
On a custom order. But I think this is it's a little bit like this perfect mix between a 3-wood and your driver.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, if you wanted to, you could order the 11.5 degree standard head and turn it down and make it close to 10 degrees or something like that, and play it as a driver if you wanted the shorter shaft, more control in that regard. But all right, let's hit a few off the tee. Let's add a tag for off the tee, and then I'm curious on how the spin and stuff works, because I'm a player. When I tee it up, I have a pretty upward attack angle. See, I'm curious because the shaft and the loft are going to generate a lot of spin for me. So, but I'm going to be curious to see how different it is from off the deck. I'm teeing this down kind of low too, actually. That might go a little left. Yeah. There's that 280 number you were talking about, though.
Yeah.
That's off the toe. Yeah.
Yeah, but we're still seeing...
not too bad, actually.
No, we're still seeing some really good distances. We're up in that somewhere another 10 to 15 yards of carry. Like that just happened to be about 10 more yards of carry.
Yeah.
But the shot before that was even 15 yards more carry and some more total to it. So that's where this becomes multifunctional. And that's one of the reasons like we have to look at the tools in the bag. It's like we try to get more uses out of a club than just the driver that's on a tee only, or a putter that's just generally on a green. All those other clubs in the bag, we would like to try to get some multi-use out of, and that seems like this does really well. You can hit it from the fairway and get some really good numbers off of it. You hit it off a tee and you get really nice numbers off of it.
That one was, again, I've hit it a little bit all over the place in terms of strike location. At least those 3 off the tee were very different. But I like how that last one turned out, even though it did have a lot of curve on it. But it still carried 273. Still had a decent spin number on it. I like that a lot. I'm going to see if I can grab a tee here. I broke that tee. So I can grab one more somehow and let it rip. That was a bottom club face swing there. So the spin varied a ton for me off the tee. Well, a ton. I mean, it was,
Yeah, it did.
Part of that was impact location and my swings. But
yeah, where you had a few that were a little bit lower to that.
Yeah.
And that's probably hit location. That's probably just, where we might catch it.
Yeah, there's that toe one right there.
Yep. And anything high normally gets a little bit less spinny there.
Yeah.
Anything a little lower gets a little bit more spinny. It's like,
yeah,
high center is where we want to be. Low is going to spin a little bit more. So even from a hit perspective, let's go back to the other side of it. Yeah. Everything was just a little bit lower.
Yeah.
But centered, so you got really
and that's
nice.
Probably common for a mini driver off the deck, right? You're going to probably, I would imagine most people are going to hit it slightly below the equator of the face. Yeah.
The thing that we have to remember too is like if you have more of an upward swing,
I know,
versus a downward swing, that attack angle is going to be an important piece of this puzzle, because if we're looking at it in that regard, generally speaking, if you've got a longer club, it's moving upward. If it's moving downward, you might be able to capture a little bit more spin, get a little bit more launch and spin out of it. But when you're moving upward with it, it tends to launch a little bit higher. And if you catch the bottom of that, you're going to get a little bit of spin with it. So, yeah, that's a huge piece of the puzzle. I'm looking at it in terms of hit location. That's why you're seeing really consistent results there versus some.
And that's the thing. What I like about this is I hit it. I mean, we can look at it any metric you want. Basically, my swings were much more inconsistent off the tee there, see a hip back location. You can see, you know, you can talk about the swing path and stuff varying a little bit more. The club path, especially, right? We had a couple that were smaller numbers, higher, but I was still hitting it farther, carried it, you know, 5 yards further. And that's without optimizing anything with this drive.
Right.
I mean, shaft, hosel, weights, we could go all different kinds of directions and still optimize it. So in terms of just the pure testing, this is only 8 shots, but really good stuff so far.
The look complements things. The feel, I did get to hit it. It feels great.
Yeah.
It's really solid and it's crisp. When you have the technology in it that it's got, you're looking at a club that is probably going to sell out pretty quick.
Right.
They don't tend to make this like they make the production lineups of all the others, where they're not going to make, my guess is what, thousands upon thousands of drivers. Even if whatever limited effect that we have in terms of getting one of these is, if you're interested, you're probably going to have to get on that really quick.
Yeah.
And we don't, the interesting part too for us is, like, we don't see a lot of these come in and return. A lot of these stay out.
Yeah.
It's like the mini driver market has exploded to this. We've seen TaylorMade in a couple different versions, and if you look, I know just being in the store looking for one yesterday during a fitting, it's like we didn't have any.
None of the used, right?
No,
you had
none
to go
of
to
the
something
used,
that was new.
right?
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, we can order some of the new stuff, and that's what we're going to get to is, but also adjustability is huge.
Yeah.
And being able to take that and, you know, move the weights around now, move that shaft maybe to a different angle, putting a different shaft in.
Right.
Also the hosel it's the same fit in terms of
Yes.
everything that's current and TaylorMade on the market.
Yep.
So you could probably get away with, if you have a 3-wood shaft and you wanted to try that might be a little bit shorter in that club, but it's worth trying. Or you might do the other side of that, which is you might take a driver shaft and you might have something that's a little bit longer, 45.
Right. Or, you know, customize or cut that down if you have one or something and, you know, get the swing weighting optimized. But I think overall the initial feedback that I have is all positive with this one for sure. All right, Tyler, testing complete. R7 quad. Again, we didn't make any optimizations to it. We just simply hit it as it was delivered to us, with the weights back, this kind of stock shaft, but really good results. I'm stunned by how it was off the deck for me. Super consistent. So in kind of wrapping up here, we like to, you know, categorize the golfers that you'll most likely work with on this club. So having seen it now, what type of players, and obviously having worked with mini drivers a lot already this year, you talked about how popular that market is right now. What types of golfers do you envision being interested in putting this in the bag? Yeah,
I think this is like, I would categorize this as a specialized club, right?
Yeah.
So let's start with real fast swings. If we're looking at someone that's carrying their driver over 300 yards or even further than that, this could be a great option in terms of someone that might need it for tee shots, where number one, they're going to have control, but they're also going to be able to have a little bit more forgiveness. It's a little bit bigger sweet spot. You've got some adjustability.
Yeah.
Number two, you might find that person in the middle where maybe they don't have that soaring long distance to it, but they need something specifically for the type of golf course they play.
Yeah.
If you've got 4, 5, 6 holes that you're going to need something like this, well, then it becomes a great club to put in the bag. Whereas, you know, you're always trying to make something like the driver or another club around it work for you. Well, this actually could be the answer to both, right?
Yeah.
And the other side of this too happens to be, we talk a little bit about slower swing speeds. Well, as the swing starts to slow, the ball starts to fly low. So what do we want? Well, number one, we want to be able to get launch. So you can take something like a 13.5. You maybe don't want something super duper long for control, right? So you can get something lightweight. You can adjust in terms of fine tuning for some launch.
Mm-hmm.
And this actually becomes the option in terms of a driver.
For a lot of those players.
Yeah, absolutely. So all the technologies roll into one.
Yeah, so that's a lot of golfers you just described, though. There's a player that hits the ball really far, that maybe there's a few holes on the course where, or maybe they just need a more accurate, more trustworthy option in terms of finding the fairway off the tee.
Yep.
This is a great one. You mentioned maybe there's someone that plays a course where there's a certain distance, say it's 250 yards, that they are able to hit this club. There's so many shots on the course they need 250 yards.
Yep.
Maybe they put this in the bag for that course. Or lastly, the player that doesn't have a lot of swing speed and actually needs something higher lofted and shorter that they can launch in the air, and actually this might actually hit, go farther for that player than say the 9-degree stock option out there with a driver. So this is great though. R7 quad. I like, again, we talked about the nostalgia of going back in time with the name on it. This is now harkening back to 18 years ago, 16, something like that years ago. Really cool. But Tyler, thanks for joining today. R7 quad. Go get fit with someone like Tyler. If you were one of those maybe 3 types of players that we just talked about, this could be a really good option for your bag and help you shoot better scores. Thank you again, Tyler. This was awesome.
Great.